Welcome to this JMC webinar, New Innovations in Standard-Based Grading, here on this September 18th day. My name is Jake Banskoy. I'm the head of training at JMC. I am joined by Brian Wall. Brian, do you want to say hi?
Sure. My name's Brian Wall. I am a retired school administrator. After 10 years in the classroom, I spent 24 years as a high school and middle school principal.
And Brian and I actually met through this venture of standard-based grading. It's kind of my first foray into JMC was I taught high school English for 10 years. I used JMC grade books, was seeking out a solution for standard-based grading, became an instructional coach, and then worked with several different schools that were implementing standard-based grading practices. So we were looking for solutions to help schools and teachers track student progress towards standards. And that's when I started working with JMC. That's when I started working with JMC full-time. And that's when I met Brian Wall, as he was working with a school that was implementing standard-based grading practices. So happy to have Brian join us today. He can lend a perspective on this. We're going to talk just a little bit about the new innovations that have come about over the last few months here with standard-based grading, regarding standard-based grading in general. Again, I just have to point you to, if you're just getting started with standard-based grading, you might want to consult our YouTube channel and check out our 6 Ways of Grading series. We go through all of the gradebook options and all of the end of term reporting options and kind of explain high level what those things do. So if you're really looking for digging into the nuts and bolts of it, we're really just kind of showing the updates in this webinar. You might want to check out one of those other videos. So with that, JMC continues to evolve along with the changing landscape of education. With the introduction of Common Core standards and research-based best practices regarding grading, JMC has innovated solutions that promote student learning. No matter your school's philosophical approach to standard-based instruction, assessment, and grading, JMC's standard-based grading tools have you covered. Today, we're going to look at a couple different innovations. We'll look at setting system-wide CBG results in JMC Office, a very popular item that folks have been asking for throughout the years. And then selecting grading terms. We have created a much easier, much more efficient way to enter results onto the standard-based report card that I think we'll enjoy. I know I will enjoy them. So if you have any questions, I'd invite you to use that chat feature that is available right through Ring Central, and away we go with system-wide CBG results. We're going to take you through the process of entering system-wide CBG results in JMC Office. And what we're talking about is that proficiency scale here. So looking to save your teacher some time, streamline the adoption of competency-based grading in each class by entering your building's grade cutoffs and CBG results in JMC Office with just a few clicks. Set CBG results, including their color, value, and description, to ensure consistency in grading practices across your entire staff. And the nice thing, of course, with this is once your grade cutoffs are set in JMC Office, your teachers will be able to import those into JMC Teacher with just a click. So to enter system-wide competency-based grading results in JMC Office, you're going to go to Grading, Utilities, Teacher Grade Cutoffs, and CBG Results. Step 1, you'll select a number from the Number of Results drop-down list to begin creating competency-based grading result definitions. Fun fact, the number of results refers to the number of proficiencies in your proficiency scale. For example, if your proficiency scale includes meets, developing, beginning, and incomplete, you'd select 4 from the number of results drop-down list. Step 2, click the edit link next to a result row to begin defining a result for your proficiency scale. So step 3, you'd select the color from the color picker to correspond with your competency-based grading result. Helpful tip, assigning unique colors to each proficiency result makes reviewing student progress reports easier, as families can quickly identify patterns in the colors to understand their students' learning progress. Step 4, enter an abbreviation, 3 letters, numbers, symbols, or fewer, in the name field to create a display name for the result. For example, MET, DEV, or beginning, etc. Step 5, you'll enter a number in the value field to set a ranking order for your proficiency scale. Step 6, enter a description in the result, or a description for the result in the description field to correspond with your competency-based result. Step 7, an optional step, you can place a check mark in the proficiency target checkbox to set the result as the targeted proficiency. Step 8, an optional step, place a check mark in the exempt checkbox to prevent the result from contributing to the final calculation. And then a helpful tip, use the exempt option for an incomplete or insufficient information or a not turned in result to communicate the information to all stakeholders without being punitive. Step 9, click the update link to save the result or click the cancel link to discard changes. Fun fact, once the default grade cutoffs and CBG results are defined in JMC Office, teachers can easily add them to their grade books with just a couple of clicks, as I mentioned before. So let's take a live look at entering system-wide CBG results. And Brian, then we can kind of chat about some of these things here and how we would maybe apply those or how we've seen those applied in schools. So I'm in JMC Office right now. I'm going to head to grading, utilities, teacher grade cutoffs, and CBG results. And you might be used to this page as this is where your school would set their system-wide grade cutoffs. And in addition to those system-wide grade cutoffs, we now have system-wide CBG results. So this is the proficiency scale that your teachers are going to see, or actually they're going to create in JMC Teacher. And if you remember, even as recently as last year, teachers had to create these proficiency scales independently, which led to a few issues, teachers not picking the exact same color, for example, or maybe using a slightly different description. As a staff, you want everybody on the same page. You want everybody using common language to help communicate things with parents. So this is a way to help streamline that common and consistent message that your teachers are providing to your students and your families. So from this drop-down list, you're going to see this is going to be empty when you first log into this page. But if you choose that number of results from that drop-down list there, you see I'm on a 4, 3, 2, 1 scale, but I've included a 5th result because I wanted to include an exemption in there as well. From there, you click the edit link next to a row. You can choose a color from the color picker. I think what we have found, and Brian, maybe you can lend some expertise into this. For whatever reason, it seems to be universal. Maybe not universal, but universal to the United States. How's that? That the stoplight system, people associate green with good for whatever reason. So green means go, green means good. Yellow is kind of an earlier warning, and then red means bad. So somewhere in between. Is that kind of something similar to what you've seen, Brian?
Yeah, I think it just ties into that common experience we all have as drivers.
Yeah. And, I can't remember where I was. I was at a school. We were discussing that stoplight system. And somebody informed me that actually, I think it's in Asia, that it's backwards, that it's upside down. So like red would be considered good over there. So I guess it's not 100% universal, but at least most of the schools that I work with in the United States, this kind of makes sense to those folks. So the name field is what you would want to, or what you're referring to as, proficient, or the level that you are wishing to give feedback, or the symbol that you want to use to give feedback. And that can be up to 3 letters. A lot of schools that I work with, they are on this 4, 3, 2, 1 system. So the name is the exact same as the value. Totally fine. The value would be essentially your threshold, your lowest value to achieve this ranking result. So the description adds a little bit more detail as to what a green means in your standard-based system. The proficiency target mentioned, what in a perfect system, where would you want your students to end up with the standard? That would be the targeted proficiency. And that comes into play a couple different places in JMC, most notably in the calculation options for formative assessments. And we'll take a brief look at that when we jump into JMC Teacher here as well. Click that update link when you're finished. The final thing that I'll mention on this page here is down below this bottom result here, since I mentioned that I added 5 results instead of 4 on my proficiency scale. I have an exempt value, which just allows your teachers to add a result to a formative assessment that maybe a student didn't need to take for whatever reason. They were absent. You know, you don't want to leave it blank. You want to give feedback as to whether or not the student completed it, or whether or not they didn't need to complete that assessment. You might have multiple results that are exempt. You know, if you have different reasons for exemption, for example, tested out might be a reason for an exemption, or absent from assessment might be a reason for an exemption. In any event, anything that is listed as exempt with this checkbox is not going to be calculated toward an end of term result. Brian, any questions coming through, or anything that you'd like to add about creating a system-wide proficiency scale?
No, I don't see any questions. I would add that, you know, as an administrator, I appreciated when JMC added in the default cutoffs for traditional grading as a way to ensure that, you know, we had adopted a school-wide grading scale, and that was an easy way to make sure that all the teachers had that correct grading scale in their grade books. And it's a big time saver for them when they're setting up their own grade books. They don't have to enter all those cutoffs, whether it be traditional or now in standard-based grading, easily pull those cutoffs into their grade book.
Glad you mentioned the grade cutoffs up here. And just like the grade cutoffs here, even though you add these system-wide proficiency scale results, doesn't necessarily mean every teacher has to use these. Teachers still have the ability to make their own CBG results if they see fit, if that works out in their system, if that's what they're supposed to do. So with no questions coming forward, let's take a look at our next innovation, which is how you would add those system-wide results to the JMC Teacher gradebooks. So in the competency-based grading module, defining results involves establishing the feedback levels provided to students when assessing their formative work. To define a result, you assign a color, a short name, a ranking value, and a description, creating a proficiency scale that helps track and communicate student progress towards specific learning goals. Clearly defined results are essential for defining formative assessments, which contribute to final grades or marks on a standard-based report card. In JMC Teacher, you'll click the competency-based grading, define formative assessments to define your proficiency scale. So we're in competency-based grading, define formative assessments. Step 1, we'll select a course from that course drop-down list to begin setting up our results. Step 2, and this is where you're going to see that new innovation appear. So in the old system, you'd either have to select the total number of results and define those rows yourself, or what we're talking about here is you can click the add default results quick link there, and that will define the results for your system. Fun fact, the number of results refers to how many proficiencies are in your proficiency scale. I don't think I need to go through creating this again, because the steps for creating this are exactly the same in JMC Office as they are in JMC Teacher. You know, you'd select the number of results, you click the edit button, or I'm sorry, edit link, you choose the color, you enter a name. The one piece that is unavailable from the Office end, because every teacher might have their own standard-based result definitions. If your teachers are using standard-based report cards, they would need to select the standard-based result definition from the drop-down list that corresponds with the value that's listed here. If they're calculating to a course grade, they don't necessarily need to do that step right there. But step 7, select the corresponding result from the SB result def drop-down list to convert CBG results to a standard-based report card. Is an optional step. And I would recommend doing this before this final step here, which is copying results to all classes. So you add those default cutoffs, you set your standard-based result definitions if you're reporting to a standard-based report card, and then you copy to all classes, and then those standard-based result defs should appear for all of the courses on your schedule. So let's take a live look at adding system-wide CBG results in JMC Teacher. I'm logged into JMC Teacher here. I am going to head to competency-based grading, define formative assessment. Now, I've already done this once or twice, but I'm going to select a course that I haven't done this in. So you see, I have my add default results quick link right here. I can simply click that and it's going to populate my entire proficiency scale right there with one click. I still would need to go in and define my standard-based result defs. So I would just click in here, edit, grab the result that corresponds with my value here and click update. And I would do that for each of my results, but one click as opposed to 5 or 6 clicks for each of these. That's a pretty big time saver there, I think. Brian, anything to add or any questions coming through?
No, I just would echo, and you'd mentioned this previously, that if you've decided as a school that you're going to all use the same cutoffs and the same colors, using these default cutoffs pushed out from the office is definitely the way to go. And again, it is just a huge time saver as teachers are setting up, particularly if they're setting up multiple courses, to be able to just pull that in right from JMC office. And they're ready to go immediately. That consistency in color and verbiage is really important, we know.
And I had this question come up to me earlier. A brand new school asked me, hey, what grading system should our school use? What grading system is best? And of course, I have my own opinions, but as far as the research is concerned, it's far more about collective efficacy than it is about the grading system that you use. If your teachers are on the same page, and if your teachers are using the same verbiage to communicate the same things to your students, that's going to promote collective efficacy, and that's going to have more impact on your student success ratio than any type of grading system that you choose. Hopefully you're choosing a grading system that aligns with your school's mission and values, but these default results are just one way that JMC is helping your school establish that collective efficacy that you need to help move student learning forward exponentially. So with that, we're going to take a look at some standard-based report cards and selecting assessment terms. So this is if your school is reporting end of term results onto a standard-based report card. So we made a couple innovation updates here. Selecting a grading term for a course or grade assessment. This is taking the place of those assessment sets for those of you that might remember assessment sets and standard-based report cards back in the day. The edit assessments for a course or grade page offers a streamlined approach for teachers assessing standards listed on a standard-based report card. Save time by selecting standard results for all students in a course or grade at one time rather than editing each student's report card individually. Results will automatically appear on student standard-based report cards, helping you quickly wrap up the term. So for those of you that are well-versed in editing standard-based report cards at the end of the term, you know that there are a couple pages that you can do it from. You could either do it from the edit assessments report card for a student page, or you can do it from the edit assessments for a course or grade page. Those of you that have been working with standard-based report cards for quite a while, you probably skipped right to this edit assessments for a course or grade page because it's the faster way to get results onto a standard-based report card. You can certainly go to this edit assessments report card for a student page and enter results in for each individual student for each standard individually. and then send those results to the office. But this would probably be the preferred method of most of the teachers that I work with that do enter the standards on the report card at the end of the term, or enter the results on the report card at the end of the term, as opposed to using, say, the competency-based grade book for keeping track throughout the term. So we're going to head to edit assessments report card, or for a course or grade in JMC Teacher. We'll select our course or grade from that course or grade drop-down list to access the standards and benchmarks that have been assigned to that course. Step 2, we're going to select the subject area from the subject area drop-down list to access standards and benchmarks for that specific subject area. Step 3, select the standard from the standard drop-down list to view all the benchmarks that are associated with a selected course, grade, subject area, and standard. And then step 4, we'll select an item from the assessment drop-down list to assess a specific reportable item. Several folks call these priority standards or power standards or reportables. Some call them simply standards. Some call them benchmarks. Whatever your school's verbiage is, this bottom row here is actually what you're assessing on the report card. So step 5, and here is the innovation. We're going to select the appropriate term from the grading term drop-down list to enter results that will appear on the standard-based report card. This is a far cry from what you used to have to do, is adding an assessment set with a term date and all that sort of stuff. These term dates now will appear from your school's district calendar that's listed in JMC Office. So if you're on quarters, the quarter dates will automatically appear right there. Step 6, select a result from the result ID drop-down list for each of your students. Helpful tip: highlight a result and click the fill score column link in the quick link section to automatically populate the selected result to all students rather than editing each individual student result. Step 7, most importantly to note for this comment field, this is an internal comment. So step 7 is an optional step. You can enter an internal comment in this field to associate with that student's benchmark. Benchmark comments are internal comments that are not displayed on the standard-based report card for the JMC family or JMC student portals. These comments will not go on the report card. Very important point to note. If you are entering comments, hand-typed comments onto a student's report card, you're going to do that from the edit assessments for a report card for a student page, which I'm going to show you here in just a minute. Step 7, click the save button to save your benchmark assessment results. And step 9, you can click that print button to print a list of the selected assessments results for the course or grade. Fun fact: if you're calculating a result from a JMC gradebook to a standards benchmark, the result from the gradebook will automatically appear on this page for the appropriate grading term. If you've changed the calculated benchmark result from this page, a check mark will appear in the locked column indicating that the result has been overridden. Let's take a look at selecting a grading term for a course or grade. So we're in JMC Teacher. I'm going to head to edit assessments for a course or grade. I'll choose the grade level I'm working with here. I'm going to choose the subject area. I'll choose the standard. And now here's my priority standard. Now you're going to see this is grayed out. I can't change anything with this until I select a grading term. So there are my quarter 1, 2, 3, 4 grading terms. I know I'm in quarter 1. I select quarter 1, and then all I need to do is choose the result ID from this drop-down list. So 4s, and once again, this is highlighted, and this is the big time saver that everybody likes. You know, most everybody at the end of the term is at a 4. I click that fill score column, and this will automatically populate all results for all students here. I can change this result as needed and then save, and this is the result that will show up on the report card. Any questions or anything to add there, Brian?
No, as you mentioned before, this is a big upgrade from when it was assessment sets that we were editing. Can you remind us one more time that the grading term dates, where do those come from again?
So the grading term dates actually correspond with the term dates that are set up in JMC Office. So many of you have not seen this, but if you're teachers especially, but you have a calendar on your school site. And this is what you would use for state reporting purposes. The calendar is used for a lot of different things, but somebody in here comes and sets the end date for all of your quarters, all of your terms, and that term end date there. So you see quarter one is 10/11. That's the quarter date from that grading term drop down list. So quarter two ends on December 20th. That should be my quarter two date listed here, December 20th as well. So if you're not seeing any grading terms in that drop down list, it's probably because the calendar hasn't been defined, which your calendar, by the time we've gotten into this point in the year, your calendar should be defined in JMC for you. But if it's not, you might have to remind somebody in the office to take care of that. Great question. There isn't anything else. We're going to move on to the report cards page then. And really the innovation is the exact same. The difference is we're doing this from a different page in JMC Teacher. So editing and submitting a standard-based assessments report card for a student at the end of the term is easy with JMC Teacher, and it's even easier now. Enter assessment results and comments directly on each student's report card to communicate standard-based proficiencies, then submit your report card to the office and relax while they are delivered to students and families. And we will have an end of term training coming up, and we're going to be echoing these steps in that end of term training, but this will give you a little preview to that. You're going to head to edit assessments report card for a student in JMC Teacher to begin. So edit assessments report card for a student. Again, we'll select the student this time from the student drop-down list and the form that you're editing from the form drop-down list. Step 3, we're going to select the course or grade that is associated with the standards that we're assessing. We'll select the subject area from the subject area drop-down list as well. And for the most part, you're only going to have one subject area per course or grade to worry about. So you might not even have to select a result from that 4th drop-down list. It'll just auto-populate there. From the grading term drop-down list, and here is the innovation right here, you're going to select the appropriate term from the grading term drop-down list to view results calculated from a JMC gradebook or to begin editing results manually. So when I select this grading term, like first quarter grading term, the results that I have from my competency-based gradebook are automatically going to populate here for the student. Step 6, we select the appropriate proficiency mark from the drop-down list of any box with a colored triangle to manually edit results on a student's report card. Step 7, an optional step, will enter student comments in the comments field to share additional information about a student's progress on the standard-based report card. So that you might have seen that comment field that was an internal comment on the previous page. This is the page where you would enter comments. Fun fact, the page auto saves, so no need to worry about saving your changes. Step 8, you'll repeat the above steps for all students in the class. And then once the end of the term rolls around and grade acceptance has been turned on for your school, you will send your grades to the office by clicking that quick link in the quick link section. Well, let's take a live look at selecting a grading term from a standard-based report card here. So I'm no longer on this edit assessments for a course or grade page. I'll just go home to reorient us. Then we're going to go to edit assessments report card for a student. I'm going to choose, in this case, I'm going to choose my grade level here. And I will choose my form. Here we go. I've got my report card result. Now I can choose my grading term from my grading term drop-down list. And any box that has a colored triangle, I'm able to edit. You'll notice these green triangles. These are indicating that I'm actually using a grade book, or the result is coming from the grade book somewhere along the way. I can change this result if I need to, and it's going to show up that I've changed it on this report card. Note that this is auto saved as well, and it'll give you the time stamp and the date stamp for when that's saved. So if you are working on an unstable internet connection, it might be a good idea to keep an eye on this just to make sure that, you know, that's updating every time I change a result, and you can kind of just see that that change as I change each result. Notice that in my quick link section over here, I don't have a link right here to send my report cards to the office because grade acceptance has not been turned on yet in JMC office. When it gets turned on, which is under grading utilities, I'm sorry, grading entry, grade acceptance. I'm just going to turn it on for standards and benchmarks for SEM1, save. Now I should be able to refresh my page, and now I've got that quick link over there. So that's a training that's coming up towards the end of the term, probably here in a couple weeks. I think early October we'll be getting into that, sending grades to the office, but you got a little preview of that today. So Brian, any questions or anything to add to the editing of the report card?
No, I think that it's pretty self-explanatory, very easy to do for teachers.
So some minor changes, but I think they are important, and they're going to save some folks quite a bit of time here, especially as we get toward the end of the term. So
Jake, I would just add that, you know, just thinking of my own experience, you know, since I met you 3 or 4 or 5 years ago at the school I was working at, is it's been very obvious to me that JMC is very responsive to what schools need as they're working their way through their standard-based grading journey. You know, just the things that have changed since you and I first met really demonstrate that JMC is responsive to school needs, and they're agile enough to make those changes quickly and improve the product, and that'll just continue going forward, I'm sure.
I echo that completely. And with that, a big shout out to Sean Miley, who is our developer who often gets tasked with standard-based grading updates. So rarely gets a lot of pub, but I'll give Sean Miley a shout out whenever credit's due. So good on him for all of those updates and everything that he's doing to help streamline our school processes. So JMC news and upcoming events, rounding out our webinar schedule for September and October. Tomorrow, we are welcoming new administrators to JMC here as we start the school year and things start to simmer down a little bit in that office from the start of the school year rush, and we start to get into kind of business as usual. We'd invite our new administrators to check out that series as we just explain, you know, a lot of the tools that you might not even know that you have at your disposal, just to kind of give you a high level of what you can do in JMC. Then, as mentioned earlier, on the 25th of September, we begin preparing for the end of term in JMC office, along with some civil rights data collection in the beginning of October. Should be apropos to your last year's civil rights data collection reporting. Brian, you've been involved in that CRDC process at some point, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yep. It's just a matter of, you know, JMC provides you the place to put the information. Just make sure it's all included in your JMC database, and you should be good to go.
So your reporting deadlines for, say, the 23-24 school year, do you have any idea when those are, or approximately?
I'm sorry, I do not recall that.
Yeah, I think it corresponds with the end of the actual year, which is why we're holding that in October, but I'm not 100% positive. So you want to keep an eye out for those dates, and that's a federal report. So I think everybody's going to be involved in that one, along with the October week 2 ending the term in JMC teachers. So if you have some teachers that are maybe new to JMC, or the folks that need a refresher on what to do at the end of the term, check out that webinar as well. And as always, these links, you can click these links in the PDF description of this YouTube video right down there in the description. You click the more link and you can expand some details, including the PDF file that has these slides in it. And you can register for our upcoming webinars by clicking these links. Start the term off right with a messaging app that tightens engagement across your entire district community, JMC's Community Messenger. From an admin dashboard with all the data needed to enhance messaging to robust preferences for community members, it's one handy tool. Want to add Community Messenger for just 42 cents per student? Reach out to sales@jmcinc.com. Heads up, site visits are coming up. We're here to help with end of term to-dos in person and virtually. Our CSS team will visit your building in October to ensure that you have all that you need to succeed and follow up with a great resource-packed email on submitting grades, creating academic reports, and more. In the meantime, register for our 925 training on preparing for the end of term in JMC office. And Brian, I know you're intimately involved with our site visits initiative. You have anything that you'd like to promote with our site visits since I've got you on the horn here?
No, I just, like Jake said, we'll be out. Our CSS team will be hitting schools in October. So if you've got some burning questions that you think would be good to look at in person when your CSS, your client services specialist arrives, then you maybe want to have those prepared, but otherwise be looking for that resource packed email. We know when we stop in to visit a school, we don't get to talk to everybody. We might just see somebody in the front office, but that email, we try to hit everybody so that those resources are widely available.
And our CSS folks are folks just like you that may have used JMC over the course of their career. They might be nearing that retirement age or might just be looking for a side gig. Those folks connect one-on-one with many of our users. So they're a great resource to us. They're a great resource to our users. Just another way that we try to bring a little bit of training to everybody, just to show that we're available and hopefully provide another avenue that you can communicate your needs to us. Summer may be wrapping up, but there's still time to play in the JMC sandbox. It's a duplicate of your school's JMC site where you can experiment with things like scheduling and grading while keeping your live data safe and sound. So you can get a JMC sandbox site covering all buildings for just $868 per year. This can be used by your teachers, can be used by any front office staff member. It basically takes a duplicate of your current site. You can get in there, play around with things, change course names, reorganize your course data list, all that sort of stuff, and still maintain your personal site for all of your live data.
Well, Jake, I could see that being a great resource if you're a school that's looking at making that shift to standard-based grading, a way to set up some courses for your teachers to play around in and get some experience in with some actual, real student data in a format you're familiar with for your own school. So it could be well worth the investment to do that if you're making a big shift like that.
Absolutely agree. And it's scheduling too. If you're switching from a block scheduling to a traditional schedule or the other way around, or moving from trimesters to semesters, and you need to experiment and play around and see how that scheduling aid might help you out there. That's another great utility for it. But yeah, lots of uses for a sandbox site. So if that's something that's of interest, please reach out to sales@jmcinc.com. Brian, it's been a pleasure as always. I thank you for joining us today. Thank you folks for joining us, and we will catch you on the flip side.